So we were literally screaming, running after this coach. It all of a sudden just stopped. And our bus was driving off. And we were thinking, well, someone must have hijacked the bus, because how the hell does that work?
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Destination Happiness. Today I'm recording from beautiful Hong Kong. I got in a few days ago and yesterday was my first full day here. I'm currently sat in my hotel room just looking out to the view. We have all the high-rise buildings. I'm assuming it is flats and hotels. I'm not really in the city. I'm not on Hong Kong Island. I'm actually quite far away from everything. I'm in the New Territories, if you've heard of that. It's closer to the mainland, kind of where more of the locals are. We've got the shopping malls. We've got, is that a lake over there? I'm going to have a wander around. I never even saw that before. I've got the train lines. I've got people downstairs doing some sort of samurai class. Not sure. You know when you're a kid and you get that rug and it has the cars and the streets on it and the buildings? I feel like I'm looking out to one of those. In today's episode, I have actually asked some of my travelling friends to send me some of their funny stories, best moments, top memories since they've been travelling. And I'm not gonna lie, a few of these really... because obviously I'm not with them at the moment, so I had to ask them to send me voice notes. I was cackling with laughter listening to some of these, especially the one that my friend Elle sent me about our times in Vietnam together. Oh my god. The point of the episode is to just to bring you some laughter and just to make you smile, really. Just about life being a traveller, a backpacker, wandering the world, not really sure where you're going, what you're doing, kind of just living each day and taking each day as it comes, really. I mean, this is sort of like a little day in the life compilation, I suppose. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And yeah, without further ado, I'll just leave it to them.
Okay, first off, I want to talk about the buses in Vietnam. And so, I think it was the first one we took, and it was to Lat. And it was our first ever Vietnam bus. And, oh my God, I just remember it was like a 6-hour bus. And we had to sit at the front, literally while the bus was going, like, swerving in and out of cars, like, literally on the step at the door, begging the bus driver, Phong Vi Sin, which roughly translates to toilet, please, God. And he pulled over on the side of the road as we scurried out, literally into, like, I wouldn't even call it long grass. And we had to just pull down our pants, power piss, get back in the van, the bus, because they just don't care. They've got a time frame. And on that, do you remember when we were going to Nimbin, I think it was, and we had an overnight bus and they tried to shove all three of us, you, me and Liz, at the back where the toilet was, because there was a toilet on this bus, and you could fully see behind the fucking toilet. Like, it was some of the most crook shit I've ever been a part of, and it was disgusting. I had fan water dripping on me. Oh my God. And then they dropped us off at 4:00 in the morning in the middle of the street, and there was no like Gojeks or anything, so we had to like flag down some random guy and like try and pay him money to take us to our hostel, which was like a 15-20 minute drive away. Oh my God. And then we had to lay out in the rain for like 3 hours until it opened. That was some pretty weird shit, but fun. Also, side note, do you guys remember how we used to always smell each other's hands after we'd been to the toilet? Like, not because they smelt, but because we were just like smelling the different kinds of soap that they had going on. I don't know what it was about Asian soap, but God, it smelled good on the hands. Okay, so I have quite quite a few stories from travelling, especially with Soph, to be fair. I mean, we had so many random stories. One of them, I literally remember, and this is just a weird one, but we were on a coach, on the Greyhound coach in Australia. And it's kind of like a hop-on, hop-off bus pass thingy. Anyways, we were going like on a really long trip to somewhere. I can't remember where we were going. It was like a good like fair few hours. And then they stopped off like at this petrol station that was like literally in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was just a random petrol station, and then like the rest of the place was deserted. So we went in and got some food, and we saw the bus driver. So we thought, okay, we'll sit in here and eat our food, and then as soon as the bus driver starts walking out, then we'll walk out with him, because, might as well eat our food in here. Anyways, we see him about to walk out, so we walk out with him. And then we look up, and our bus is driving off, literally driving off out of the petrol station, and all our stuff is on there. Like all our belongings, like our backpack, literally our phones, everything. The only thing we brought with us was a little bit of cash just to buy like a sausage roll. And our bus was driving off, and we were thinking, well, someone must have hijacked the bus, because how the hell does that work? So we were literally screaming, running after this coach. It all of a sudden just stopped before it probably like ran us both over. And we were like, what the hell are you doing? And we jumped on there, and he was like, what are you doing? And we were like, this is our bus. And he was like, oh. And then we went on there, and all our stuff was on there. And we were so confused. One, he didn't even do a head count, so he had no idea who was on his bus, which is terrifying enough as it is. And then actually, to be fair, we did look out the window, and there was another Greyhound bus that was parked up at the same petrol station with another guy that looked a little bit like our bus driver, but mainly had the same uniform on. But yeah, that was nearly the end of us.
So yeah, when me and my sister were travelling around New Zealand, it was actually the first place we stayed, and we set up camp. And we just thought, oh my god, like I'd love to take a picture of this moment. Like it was a gorgeous sunset and everything. And I remember we were just sat there and we're like, how the fuck are we going to take this picture? But we put our suitcases on top of each other, and then I think we used our protein our tub of protein, and I think my water bottle. We just like we were there for ages trying to balance the phone. It was so funny. And then like I'd set it up as a timer, and like I would press the button to take the picture, and then I'd run back into the tent, and there's like 5 million different photos of me jumping in it, and then I realised I could just use my watch. And yeah, it was just hilarious because there was no one else there, and we just wanted to get that picture, and we made it work. That was really funny. I miss times with my sister.
One of my funniest memories that I made while traveling was when I was in Cambodia, and I was with 3 other friends, 2 of whom were from England and the other was from Australia, and we had just come from visiting the killing fields and pardon the sounds, I'm in a train station, but we had just come from seeing the Khmer Rouge killing fields and one of their like concentration camps, and it had been like a really like emotionally heavy day, and I think we were all feeling a bit down. But we sat down to eat some lunch, and we were eating, I don't remember what the dish was called, but it was this like dark brown kind of soupy thing. And my friend Reese from England, he drops his spoon in it, and it splatters all over him, all over his pants. And in like the driest tone ever, he just goes, "Oh, perfect, that's exactly what I wanted." And for whatever reason, we all cackled and thought it was the funniest thing ever. And he had to walk around the rest of the day with brown soup all down the front of his pants, which we thought was hilarious. And I think it just had something to do with, like, it had just been a really sad day, and we needed something to laugh at, but that was so funny in the moment. Another really funny story is when we were in Pai in Thailand, and we may or may not have been tripping on mushrooms, and we were like laying down next to this river on this like bed, and the speaker that we were using was playing right next to my ear, and it was like really loud and really bothering me, so I like pushed it off, And it's worth mentioning that the song that was playing was like I Keep on Falling by Alicia Keys, and I accidentally pushed it off into the river, and so it was falling and floating down the river all while singing I keep on falling in, that song. And it was hilarious, and we chased it down the river and were able to retrieve it, but it was scary for a second. I thought I was gonna have to buy my friend a new speaker.
Okay, this one it's actually terrifying, to be honest with you. But we can laugh about it now because it's done. But I remember when Soph and I were travelling, we went to the Whitsundays, which is honestly one of the most stunning places you'll ever see in the entire world. Like, beautiful white sands, like swirls of like crystal clear blue waters, just it's stunning. Anyways, so we'd been warned before we got to the island that, you know, there's nothing on that island, and if the tide comes too far out, then we won't be able to come in with the boat to be able to get you off. So they set us a time and they were like, okay, make sure you're back on the beach by this time. So we were loving life, traipsing through the Whitsundays, and we thought, let's get ahead of the group so, you know, we don't miss the boat, quite literally. So we walked back and we thought, okay, we'll make a little detour to the loos. So yeah, we were just coming out of those, and then we walked past beautiful viewpoints, seeing all of the Whitsundays, and then we kept walking. About a minute or two later, we walked past the viewpoint again, and we thought, oh God, I think we've missed the exit. Okay, carried on walking round again, got back to the viewpoint. We were in an infinity loop, which was quite frustrating, to be honest. So we were literally, at this point, looked at our watch and we're like, okay, we haven't got that much longer left, like, we're going to miss our boat. So then we were okay, bit on adrenaline, which kind of helped because I don't normally run. So then we were running around this like infinity loop, trying to find the exit. And it was like in a little woods bit, like a little jungle woods bit. I don't know what it was, but that's where the loos were. So we were trying to find like where a path had been to find the exit out of where we actually came in through. So we were literally running around, boiling hot, probably about to be eaten by snakes and whatever else was out there. And we then started screaming. I think about the 5th or 6th time after running past that viewpoint, we were like, stop, wait for us, as we literally saw the last boat driving off. Oh my God, my heart was absolutely pounding. I thought it was going to be sick. I didn't know whether I should like maybe cut up Soph so that way they ate her first. We were just, oh God, it was horrendous. I thought at that point we're going to be in the, you know, that's going to be a story in the news, and that's us done. Eventually, we found our way out, but we still had the issue of being deserted on this desert island in the middle of the Great Barrier Reef, or wherever it is. And we were literally running down this like embankment bit to where all the boats were, screaming, going, oh my God, they're gone without us. That's it. We're going to be deserted here. Like, help, come back. Like, screaming so loud. And then we walked around the corner and everyone was still sat there. So literally all of the people on our boat were sat there just staring at us, sweating, like covered in whatever, trying to crawl through this, like... It was so embarrassing. They just looked at us like, what the hell has happened? And there's us two, like, traumatised, full of adrenaline, and we just collapsed on the beach, and they were just pissing themselves laughing, thinking, what the hell happened to you? Yeah, I think it's more stressful at the moment thinking of it still. It's still is very stressful. But yeah, that was quite a funny moment.
Okay, so when I was travelling with a group of friends last year, we were in Thailand and we were in an area called Railay. It's like next to PP Islands. And we were only there for about 3 nights, but one of the nights, it was like in the middle of the night, I could feel something crawling on me, and I thought, oh,
am I dreaming or is this real? So I just checked, and I literally felt a massive centipede on my head, literally crawling on my head. So I literally grabbed it without even thinking and threw it, and it flung right onto my friend, and she was like, oh my god, what is that? But it's because we were in like the treetops, like in the middle of the jungle. It felt like a jungle anyway. But yeah, that was hilarious.
Sophie and I were trying to catch a flight, and we were totally on time to the airport. But then for some reason we decided to sit down and see if we had the entire song Home by Edward Sharpe memorized. And after doing that for several hours, we nearly missed our flight. So I feel like that kind of represents backpacking, because you're just so in the moment that you sometimes just forget about like everyday logistical things that you really need to take care of, which is a hard balance to strike, because that's kind of the whole point of backpacking, is you want to be in the moment, soaking up everything around you, meeting new people. But also, you can't forget those logistical things. So I think it's really good to have like some sort of list or like some sort of schedule to remind yourself of the things that you cannot forget, such as flights that you cannot miss. But yeah, that was a fun memory because it was so funny. Just like we were already at the airport through security. Why were we missing our flight? There was no reason for that.
One of my favourite memories from travelling is when me and a few girls I'd met in Koh Phangan were taking our mopeds out for the first time on the island. I'd only ridden mopeds a couple times, and we decided to go explore some hidden beaches and stuff, and it was just a very liberating feeling, kind of finally feeling confident on the mopeds and like I knew what I was doing, and having that kind of autonomy to go and just visit whichever spots you fancied. And it was just a really exciting feeling, and little did I know I'd have lots more fun on mopeds and stuff throughout the journey. So yeah, that was one of my favourite moments.
Okay, this one just makes me smile, but I remember when Soph and I were travelling, and it was just before, I think it was like only a few days before we did our skydive, and we kind of wanted to warm ourselves up to it, so we thought it was kind of like an AJ Hackett Cairns kind of thing, but it was just like a little jungle swing, not like the really huge things you see in like canyons or whatever, but it was like it pulls you up to where a like a bungee jumper would be in like the jungle, and then it kind of just like it releases you and you swing. So we thought, oh yeah, like, that's not going to be that scary, like it doesn't go that far, it only goes up to, I don't know, I think in our minds we thought it was only as high as like your average tree, and then you just kind of swing, we thought it'd be nothing that much more than what you get at Go Ape. Anyways, I remember us kind of watching it, and we're watching the people doing it. We were like, okay, it's a little bit scarier than I thought it might have been. And then I remember us, the next minute we're being strapped into this giant swing, which is basically just a harness with a bit of string that gets pulled as high as the bungee jumpers. And then you have this like latch. So you get pulled up as high as the jungle, as high as the bungee jumpers, and you have this like cord next to you. So we were both strapped next to each other, and one of us had to pull this cord, and you just hear it like clink as it like unclicks, and then all of a sudden you're literally just free falling, and I kid you not, my soul left my body, and looking at Soph's face I think everything had left her, and we were just dropping, and all of a sudden it like catches you right at the bottom, and then that's where it swings you, and then you're just like this like massive pendulum. I do actually have it on video, so if anyone wants to see it, I can share that. But I remember on the video seeing it. Obviously I couldn't see it when we were actually swinging, but as soon as we like let go, for starters, you can see our souls leave our bodies, and then as it kind of like goes back up again for you to then swing back down. I think Soph's eyeballs left her sockets. I don't think she was quite expecting that part. But oh my God, that was so much fun. But yeah, I think, to be honest with you, that was scarier than the skydiving.
The day that springs to mind when I think of us travelling together was in Campot, where about 6 to 8 of us rented bikes, and then the plan was to go and see a waterfall before riding around Bakorn National Park. And in typical Cambodian fashion, when we left, we went and filled up our bikes with gas, and instead of there being pumps, we used jerry cans to kickstart our day. When we went in search of this waterfall, it became more of an off-road exhibition than anything else, didn't it? Lots of bumps, lots of mud, and lots of big puddles. So I won't name any names, but a few people fell off, and became more of a challenge to actually get to the waterfall than it did anything else. I think it got to the point where we actually canned it, didn't we? And we found out a lake and went in there for about 10-15 minutes before sort of heading back. And then on the way back, we met a local with a trailer which had been stuck in the mud. I think all of us got off our bikes and tried to help him move his trailer, which took about 5 to 10 minutes, didn't it? And then after that, we sort of managed to get back on the road, and we went round Bakorn National Park, which was stunning, and the weather was unreal. And then later that night, we sort of went to Burger Shack, which was owned by some local expats, which we met at our hostel. So yeah, in terms of a day that stands out, that's definitely the one that springs to mind.
Throughout travelling all of Southeast Asia and up the east coast of Australia, one of my favourite and most memorable things is actually how I got here in the first place, which is I chose to get a cruise ship from LA straight to Sydney. It took 26 days and I'd done this on my own, but I don't like flying and I'm a massive fan of cruises, and it was definitely value for money as well. It worked out about £150 a day, and I was obviously well taken care of, food, drinks, everything included, and I actually got to visit extra places, including South Pacific Islands like Hawaii, Tahiti, and it also stopped at several places in New Zealand. I also got in contact with some people that I found on a Facebook page before I got on the cruise, who are British, and reached out to them who I knew were going to be on the same ship. So when I got to LA, messaged them, we met up on the ship and had drinks and dinner together. I met so many other couples as well that invited me out when we made port. When we were in New Zealand, a couple from Australia invited me out for them the day because they know New Zealand really well. I spent the day with a couple in Hawaii, and they also invited me for dinners at night, so I wasn't on my own. Drinks and some other things that go on the cruise, like quizzes and that, because I don't know what I'm doing at a quiz. But it was just so friendly, and obviously at the end there was no jet lag because I moved with the world on the cruise and the clock's changing. It was really good. And when I think that I was on this amazing boat for £150 a day, when I got to Australia I realised the prices of hostels, food, tours, etc. were adding up to the same. So I definitely recommend people look into it. It might sound scary, but it was amazing. It was my birthday on the ship as well, and many people that I met bought me birthday cards. The staff all made me special cocktails, and the cruise director actually arranged for the band to sing happy birthday to me in front of everyone, and they were all clapping along and gave me a little shot in front of everyone, which my friends filmed for me, so it's such a fun memory that I've got. When you think about how much a flight is to Australia as well, the prices have gone up, so they varied from like £1,500 to £1,800, and the cruise I paid for was about £4,000, I do believe. And when you think I had my food, accommodation, drink all included, and those extra visits, for 26 days, I would have been in Australia in 24 hours, and then I had to look after myself for a month. So it kind of breaks even if you think you spend £2 a month on those things in hostels compared to living the luxury life and visiting those extra places for the same price. It was just so much felt more value for money. People don't think about it the long way round, but it was really good value for money in the long term. It was shorter to fly to LA as well, so I just had to spend the £600 thing I paid for my flight to LA, and it was all by sea from there.
Oh, listening to all those voice notes really brought a smile to my face. Some of those memories were with me and some of them weren't, but I can just imagine those scenarios playing out in my head. And I think it's funny because the reason why I asked all my friends to send me those voice messages, it's because most of them were solo traveling, and I think a common factor between all those stories is the people that they were with. It kind of just added to the reasons why those stories were so memorable. So despite these people solo traveling, they had met all these other people and made incredible memories. And I kind of just wanted to make a point of that for those of you that aren't solo traveling, potentially are thinking about it, but maybe sort of hesitant to for various reasons. I just wanted to emphasize kind of the possibilities that can happen when you do go traveling by yourself. Yes, it can be a scary thing, and yes, you may not really know what you're doing. You might feel worried or scared about what if this, what if that, what if I don't meet people, what if I don't make friends. But this is just proof that when you do go, you will meet people, you will be able to make memories, and I kind of just want you to think, okay, so how can I make these memories for myself? Well, the answer's simple. Just book a plane ticket and see where it takes you. For those of you listening who haven't yet been travelling, or maybe it's been a long time, or maybe you're even already travelling now and this kind of does resonate with you, I just want you to realise that you can be the main character of your own story. You have the chance to make these memories for yourself, whether it's getting dripped on by a random AC unit on a bus, or taking a cruise ship round the world for a month and saving money at the same time. What's your next story going to be? Let me know. I want you to have a think about now where you want to solo travel. Has there been a particular place in mind that you've always wanted to visit? Perhaps you and your friends have been talking about going to Greece or Turkey or South America or Southeast Asia or Japan or Australia or anywhere in the world, or even just if it's within your own country and it's somewhere that you've never explored before. Have a think about where you'd like to go, or even just look on Skyscanner and look at the Explore Everywhere option and just see where the cheapest flight is. That's sometimes a good way of doing it too. And when you've decided where you want to go, have a look at the price of flights, and if you can, just book it. And if you can't book it, what's stopping you? Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it and it brought a smile to your face as it did mine. If you did enjoy this episode, it would mean the world to me if you left a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on. It does help boost the rankings so more people can see it, and we can help inspire other people to get out of their comfort zone through travelling. So thank you, and I will see you on the next episode.